Hi, this is Pallavi Verma, and in this video we will see how we can create a custom linked list. So we are not going to use Java utils linked list but our custom linked list. So let's get started. I'm going to create a class. Let's say it's my linked list. So the one thing is there, every linked list has its node. So I'm going to create a class node, and every node has its data and its next pointer. So we have two fields. Let's say one is data, and the next pointer that I'm going to create is of type node itself. So next pointer. Now I'm going to create a constructor for this. So whenever I need to create any node, I'm just going to call this constructor. So it's going to have parameter int data. So I'm going to initialize it. Now I'm going to generate the getter and setter for this. So let's create getters and setters. Okay. Now the important part in this is head pointer, because head pointer always points to its first node. So obviously head pointer will be of type node itself. So I'm going to create this node head, and either we can just initialize it by null, or if we don't initialize also, by default is null. Now we have to first create a linked list. So I'm going to create one method. Let's say it's insert method. So whenever we call the insert method, every time it's going to create its node, and then it will just attach the reference, and then it will create a linked list for us. So let's say it's public void insert, and it's going to have integer data. So first we are going to check if head is null or not. If it is null, which means there is no element which is pointed by the head. So first we are going to create a head node, and once that is created, then we are going to attach the other nodes with the head node. So let's start. If head is null, then first create the head node with the given data. So it's going to be data. So if you see, we have already created the constructor for this. And now the second time the request will come to create a node, it will check whether head is null or not. So obviously it will fail because we have already created the head node. So it will go inside this else part, and it's going to create a node. So let's say new node, and I'm going to pass the data. Once this is done, so suppose this is a second element or maybe the third element. So since if we consider it as a second element, so head should point to the new element, and the new element should point to the previous element, which means it's going to have like this, which is new node should point to the head node. Now we have to update the reference for the head node. So head node should point to the new node. So for the first time, when it will call the insert method, it's going to check whether head is null or not. So yes, it is null. So it's going to create the head node of the linked list, and from the second request, it's going to create a new node, and then it's going to update the reference for the new node, and then it's going to update the head node reference. So this looks okay to me. Now let's create one more class, which will be the main class of this my linked list. So let's say it's my linked list main. So we are going to have this main method over here. Now I'm going to create the object of my linked list. So it's going to be my linked list. And now, okay, I just need to fix this up. Yeah. Now object dot, let's say it's insert, and I'm going to pass, let's say 0, and a couple of more entries I'm going to make over here. Let's say one more. Okay, so let's say this is going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, now I'm going to have one more method so that we can print what linked list we have formed. So I'm going to have the another method, let's say public void print. Now here we have to traverse over the linked list until we find a null node, and null node will represent that you have reached end of the linked list. So I'm going to have a pointer, let's say this is current, and I'm going to store head node over here. So now it will refer this head node, and I'm going to just traverse and update every time this current node itself. So until the current node becomes null, I will just traverse the linked list, and here I'm going to just print, let's say it's going to be current dot get data. Let's put some space over here. Yeah, and the moment it will become null, it's going to terminate this loop. So we are going to update the reference for this current node. So current node will be current dot get next pointer, because every time we have to traverse the next pointer. Okay, this also looks good to me. Let's go back to the main method. After inserting all the elements, I'm going to invoke this print method. So let's run it. So yes,